notice that Canada, Mexico, and the US all bumped up at the same time from August to September. And I think really that kind of encompasses what nearshoring is, okay? It's getting back to supply chain options and really looking for a durable supply chain. And our customers, our supply chain network, partners, our mill partners, everybody's looking for what is the right option to make my supply chain as durable as possible. And I equate it to, going to the store to buy a gallon of milk. When you go to the store, you usually buy 1 gallon. You're not going to buy 3 months worth of milk. You don't have the storage at home to take 3 months of milk. You've got to load and unload it. And it's the same thing with our products, whether they're fabrication or general line, right? Everybody's looking to narrow down and streamline their supply chain to reduce those soft costs of managing inventory, of counting it, tracking it, of the effort it takes to forecast 3 to 6 months out. When, as you just showed, Nick, in numerous slides, the market is definitely taking a turn. Do we know which way it's going to go? Not completely. The manufacturing index kicking up from August to September, I thought was a wonderful bright spot, right? And I think it's how we, as a company, and everybody who's involved in manufacturing really deal with and put a lot of emphasis on, a dynamic, durable supply chain. And I'll throw a topic to Tim. So one of the things on the topic is, sure, when you nearshore it, I should be able to get it faster. I should be able to have more options, right? But we all know that headcount in North America is an issue, right? Maybe not so much in Mexico or Canada as in the US, but through automation and other methods, we are finding that we can come up with supply chain solutions to make nearshoring a much more viable option and to keep more cash in your pocket and more space on your floor to actually make your product. And quality is really the first thing that I believe needs to be addressed when you talk about nearshoring your products. So you're used to your supply chain. When you nearshore it and you go with a different option, what's that quality going to look like? So Tim has spent a lot of time in North America traveling, both internally with our plant and with our supply chain partners. So Tim, if you would kind of give us what you're seeing on the quality side.
Yeah, James, thanks for that feed there. And Nick, real quick, just want to say one thing from down here near Athens, Georgia. Go Dogs.
Awful.
Don't go with that.
You guys had a tight one with Mizzou. I don't know.
I know, but the end result last year still speaks for itself. So we'll go with that.
Touché.
Anyway, the supply chain here for fabrication shops is very different than it's been the past, let's say even 10 years ago. The past 2.5 years have really shown quite a disruption in what the methodology is for outsourcing, especially to the Far East and Asia. Typically, it wasn't that hard of a decision. It was cost and cost and cost, and that was it. If you had a quality problem, you still were ahead because the cost was so, your landed costs were cheaper than the material used to make the product. But manufacturers, OEMs that I'm talking to, and fabrication shops that I've been seeing as I travel got singed a little bit in the past couple of two years and got their eyes open to that. The world isn't quite as stable as it used to be. That things can pop up very quickly in this kind of a political world that they weren't seeing. And we had supply chain disruptions at the ports that had never seen before. We had entire ports in Far Eastern countries that were shut down for a month. Thousands of ships sitting out in the water. So as a result of that, there's a lot of interest in bringing product back into a neighboring country or a more friendly country, as we're saying. And shops are filling up. I know American fabrication shops now are very busy. Everywhere I go, they are seeing a lot of work coming in. They're seeing work come back that they lost years ago. But they, south of the border in a neighboring nearshoring country, we're seeing a big uptick in product that they've lost years ago that is coming back as well. Most of that kind of product is product that is not hard to transfer. So 1, 2, 3 stage processing, we're not talking about assemblies, we're just talking about individual parts. We're seeing come back from overseas because that makes it easy to move back, and they are pulling the trigger and moving it back.
I got a question for you, or James. Yeah. It's easy to talk in hypotheticals about more durable supply chains, bringing things back towards more North American production. Let's get to the reality of it. How long is the duration from when a company, on average, or given the instances you've seen, they decide they want to take an effort to doing this? How long from start to finish do you think that process actually takes? If they started it today, is that something that could be a 2023 outcome, or is it longer than that?
Yeah, I think there could be immediate wins. And I think that's, at Ryerson with our numerous branches and supply chains, I think that the hardest part for the customers that I've seen this year is the dynamic transfer to, I've had a stable supply chain, and now that it's not stable and I have to come up or create that durable supply chain, that knowledge is hard to come by. It's not just sitting there in a Rolodex for, hey, I need to find how to make part ABC now and I want to make it closer. To go out there and create that network of suppliers and vendors is a very hard thing to do, right? So I think what we offer and what we've had success with this year is that is exactly our goal is, and we have seen this coming. So for the past 4 or 5 years, we've created that partner network along with our branches, along with our general line feedstock, that we can move pretty agilely to help a customer do that sooner than later. Now, outside of what can we do locally or within North America, I think, Tim, as far as how long it's really taking when you deal with Asia or India for that matter, and you pull that over, I think you have some experience in the area. What's that time frame from when that boat leaves to when it actually shows up that you're going to have to deal with as a customer?
Yeah, and it does vary, James. Typically, when you're pulling product in from that far away, you have 6 weeks on the water. You have 2 or 3 months of inventory here domestically that you already have built up, and then you may have 6 or 8 weeks of lead time involved with the supplier over there. So it can be anywhere from a couple months to 6 months to reshore something back on on this side of the ocean. And the problem OEMs are running into is the people who outsourced the parts years ago overseas are now gone. Those people have moved on to different things. The people that are in place now do not have a network of nearshored suppliers that they can just pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I'm bringing this part back. Can you start making it again? That's gone. So this is where our network that we put together is showing some real promise in addressing this situation. We have a network that we can call on across the entire country and down into Mexico, and we deal with all the time, and that is going to help resource a lot of this product.
Tim, how do you ensure the quality on that, right? James talked a lot about the durable supply chain, and what you talked to before is this matter of quality. Now that you're dealing with parts of the supply chain you haven't dealt with before, how do you ensure that that you have that insurance on they're going to produce it to your quality standards?
So we have the shops in our network. We have vetted and have categorized into different quality levels. So we have general fabrication, medium level fabrication, then high tolerance certified fabrication. So as we get requests from various potential customers, we look at what their quality needs are, and then we source it to a shop that meets their quality needs, but they do not wind up paying for quality that they don't need for their particular product. It gives us a lot of flexibility in how we arrange supply chains.
So coming back to something that James had touched on, but I want to expand on a little bit more. One of the hurdles, it seems to me, given the fact that labor markets, and more specifically labor markets within manufacturing communities, are incredibly tight. I know that Ryerson's got many job openings that we just haven't filled for a long time. Many of our customers are in that same situation. As you work more towards reshoring, bringing things back to North America or America specifically, labor seems like it could be an issue. How do we, or how does the industry foresee circumventing or getting around that issue?
And Nick, that's a great question. I think we could almost have another Cup of Joe segment on that, and that word is automation. We are automating everything we can, right, to ensure that we can do things agilely and with the right quality. We have a new facility coming online in Centralia, Washington, that has new automation added to it that we haven't done in the past at any location. It can load and unload a 96-240 of plasma, oxy, or laser cut parts all at once. And those type of options, along with another facility we're going to add with robotic press brake capability, as well as laser cutting, loading and unloading, and will actually start to palletize. And that particular subject of palletizing parts, I think, is a real area in which internally at Ryerson and with our supply base, I think that really starts to change the game on how many hands you need to really get your product out the door. And we're seeing that everywhere. I mean, everyone understands that that is a lever we're going to have to pull if we're going to keep product near shored, if we're going to stay competitive, and if we're going to deliver on time.
Yeah, James, as I travel around, the fabrication shops are investing heavily in automation. They are looking at the labor market, and it's universally the question. The universal answer is yes, we need more people, but we can't find them. This is a problem across the nation, and they are investing heavily in automation because they do not see a end in sight for this labor problem. So there's a lot of investment on order. Lead times are going out on equipment because there is so much being purchased right now, along with other supply chain issues. But as you go from supplier to supplier, they're quick to tell you, hey, I ordered this, I got this one's on the way in 6 months. And just a lot of automation coming in because they know they have to do that. But then, in our network, we do have south of the border labor, which is not as constrained as what we have here in the U.S.
Good point.
So we are going to continually look at resourcing to companies south of the border that have the labor as it's appropriate.
Question from the audience, guys. You mentioned first, second, third fab, but not full assembly or heavy fab assembly. What are you seeing in that realm?
So the issue there is we can do it, right? And we have had success in doing it this year. It's more about taking the time to make sure that when you talk a full assembly, you have a lot of things that come into play there, and that is how that assembly is going to connect to the further product that you're creating, right? Whether that's, a vehicle or, vacuum systems, you name it, right? So it tends to lengthen the lead time, right? If you want to do it right. And at Ryerson, we're not as concerned with, hey, here's an opportunity, let's get started right now, let's push it. We want to make sure that it's correct, that it's delivered on time, and the quality is where it needs to be. And and a lot of these companies, right, are doing this for the first time. They've never said, hey, let's take this entire line that we've been receiving from a far shored supplier, and we're going to change that totally, right? So when you do that, there's a lot of conversation about how assemblies, and it could be that they're painted, it could be that they're anodized. There's lots of little things that come into play that we want to make sure we take our time and do. So I think to Tim's point, the first three are very quick to be done, we can move very quickly. When you go to full assembly, it's not that we can't do it. We want to do it. We were successful at doing it. We just want to take the time to make sure that the customer's product is handled professionally and correctly. And we take that manufacturing at RAP, Ryerson Advanced Processing, very seriously. We don't want to disrupt a supply chain by trying to move a complicated part too quickly. We want to make sure that, as durable as that may be, that it also sticks, and that supply chain can be relied on from now on, and that the customer can go back to engineering their parts and assembling it and selling their product, and worry much less about how many gallons of milk they're going to go buy at the store.
Yeah, great point. Here's another question from the audience, and this really speaks to the conversations about energy costs kind of being the headwind versus the ability to get things quicker via transit. Is the partner network starting to yield faster turnaround times for various alloys? And I think that's speaking to, is it more on the ability to get something versus the energy cost to produce the alloys? So is the partner network fielding any faster results there?
I think in North America it is. We haven't seen energy costs or the inability to get a certain metal or chemistry within the metal. As far as in North America, we haven't seen that get in the way this year whatsoever. Obviously, you could say the cost of gas and diesel have gotten away. So you could say that energy cost has been one that has affected how far most of our customers or supply chain or suppliers are willing to look in their geography. And I would say that most of the successes I've seen this year are when those norms are actually broken. Because when you look a little further than your normal geography, you're going to find, whether it's our internal branches capability, or again, with our supply chain network, you're going to find that they're better at certain things. And when you find that scale of automation or expertise that you can leverage, freight becomes less of an issue. If that person has a newer machine, or we have the automation we're adding internally at Ryerson, and you can do things faster in more bulk and ship it, you can get through some of those energy costs. And I've been excited in manufacturing the past few years to see the shift in nearshore. I believe that as a group in North America in general, I see a lot of gelling when it comes to how we, as a nearshored continent, can really do these things. And I think that everyone's paying attention to the challenges. I think there's effort from top to bottom, and it's been successful this year, and I think that is going to continue. So I think we're making it through that one, to be honest, on the energy side.